As all healthy relationships have healthy boundaries, the Bible is also a book about boundaries. And while we've discussed at length the boundaries between people, we haven't spent much time discussing boundaries that God establishes with people, nor the boundaries that people establish with God. Boundary problems between people create relationships problems where there is much confusion about who's responsible for what and where we end and the other person begins. The same can be said of boundary issues with God. So the same complications and mess that arises when you're trying to interact with other people, and there's boundary problems there, can arise and show up with God. We have personal boundaries in our relationship with God. God has designed the world so that boundaries are to be respected. He respects ours and expects his to be respected as well. He respects our boundaries in many ways. First, he leaves work for us to do that only we can do. God leaves work for us to do that only we can do, and he will not do that work for us because that lies within the sphere of our responsibility. In the book of Genesis, God tasks Adam with naming the animals and left it to Adam to execute this work. He didn't tell Adam that a horse wasn't a horse or that he did not like that name because that existed within Adam's sphere of responsibility. He left it to Adam and Eve to keep the garden. He gave them the responsibility of keeping the Garden of Eden, and when their violation of God's boundaries resulted in them being ejected from the garden, he didn't step in and keep it for them. Once they were gone, the garden went. We are unsure where the Garden of Eden is located because those tasked with keeping it failed to do so, and so it no longer exists. He allows us to experience the painful consequences of not doing the work so that we will change. So that means that on a practical level, there are some things in life that God has made you responsible for. He's not going to fix for you because you're responsible for that. And if you fix it, he'll bless you and you'll see increase. And if you don't fix it, he loves you enough to not to violate your boundaries and step in and get it fixed for. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second.